I think they're a bit dishonest about one thing when it comes to dark feminine energy, and it's no surprise because these women are mostly white. So we've all been conditioned one way or another to see darkness as something negative. When we hear darkness, we think of something demonic, we think of evil, we think of death, we think of horror, we think of dirt. Every negative you can think of, we think of when we hear the word dark or darkness. And it is no different in how the world views Black people. Because of our darkness, we have suffered the most oppression in the world because of our darkness, right? So it's no different when it comes to Blackness. Everybody looks down on Black people as the inferior ones, the inferior nation. Out of all of nations on earth, ironically, Black people are seen as the most inferior. Even Black people themselves have internalized a lot of this and see themselves as lower, as inferior, and it is evident in the way that we do a lot of things. You know, it shows up in Black women in how we show up in the world, what we want to look like. We don't want to look like ourselves, you know. We bleach our skin, we cover our hair with other people's hair. So the insecurities about our Blackness show up in how we present. For Black men, their insecurities show up in the women who they date. They tend to date lighter skin and prefer lighter skin women from light to white, right? So we have our own insecurities when it comes to darkness, you know, the darkness within ourselves. I personally have never really had any issues with my dark skin. I've always loved my dark skin. In fact, I tell the story all the time about my dolls when I was growing up. My dark skin Barbie, Christy, she was the queen of all of my dolls, right? So I never really had any insecurities as it relates to my skin. But still, I have suffered from that conditioning as well. I caught myself on occasions seeing things as bad just because it's Black or dark. I remember years ago I used to live at this apartment, and on the outside, right at the entrance, there was a palm tree, and the palm tree had these little palm nuts in there, you know, these fruits that the birds would come and eat all the time. And I remember one day there was a whole bunch of blackbirds in there. My boyfriend at the time, he came to meet me at the door, but I was just so irritated by these birds. I was just like, oh, I can't stand them. They're so aggressive. I don't know why so many of them are here. And he turned and looked at me and said, why do you think that they're aggressive? Because they're Black? I felt crushed in that moment because I used to think that I felt so much pride in my Blackness. And I'd be the last person that would get caught up in something like that. So I felt so much shame in that moment because really and truly, these birds aren't aggressive. I had no reason to think that they were aggressive. They're just like any other bird. You know, they're gonna make noise, they eat and play and do what other birds do. No different. They've never attacked me. I've never heard of them attacking people. But for some reason, I hated them. And it was just because they were Black. And when I took the time to really observe them, they're beautiful birds. You know, they have a very unique shape, and the tail and everything about them is just beautiful. Why would I think that these birds are aggressive? It's because of my conditioning. You know, I'm conditioned to see Black as something negative. And so it's no surprise to me that when it comes to divine feminine energy or feminine energy and the archetypes, you know, the attributes of feminine energy, the dark feminine is seen or portrayed as something negative. It's no surprise to me, right? And so I'm just here today to just dispel some of those untruths about dark feminine energy. When I changed my channel from Island Essence to Dark Feminine Consciousness, I knew it was risky because I know my people, right? So I knew that some people would either unsubscribe. I knew I would get a lot of side eyes. I know people would be thinking, what, dark, what, where is she going with this? You know what I mean? Because immediately when we hear dark, we think something negative. And so that's one of the reasons why I really pushed through in changing the name. I made up my mind that this was gonna be the name. I didn't even consult anybody about it because I didn't want the negative energy. I didn't want anybody coming at me and trying to change my mind about it or making me feel some type of way about it. I know my people. I remember when I changed it also, one of my friends wasn't really very accepting of it. She just couldn't understand why I chose to use the word dark. Hopefully this video will better explain to you why this channel is called Dark Feminine Consciousness. There are two communities on YouTube, you know, where you can find content on dark feminine energy. You will find women in the femininity community. You know, they talk about femininity, how to be feminine, all of that. In this community, dark feminine is portrayed as the vixen. She's the aggressive woman. She is super sexual, hypersexual, probably even promiscuous. You know, the whole slut walk that was done by Amber Rose, that whole movement by Amber Rose, you know, that is what they would say dark feminine energy is. A woman who is very proud of her sexual power then. She's also a manipulator. She gets what she wants. She's aggressive. She takes what she wants. She takes advantage of people. She seduces men to get what she wants. Uses her sexual energy to do that. She's a savage. Megan the Stallion, she has that dark feminine energy that they talk about. I remember at one point I was listening to a lot of Megan the Stallion, and at the time I was really trying to tap into that aggressive part of myself. As a female entrepreneur, I felt like I was not aggressive enough. And so I was really trying to tap into that side of me. And so I was using Megan the Stallion's music to do it. So I was trying to tap into that savage part of me that didn't care. Because let's face it, to be a businesswoman, to be in business in general, you kind of just have to be cutthroat in order to win in the game of business, right? It's not about making friends or making nice. To make money at the end of the day, you just have to not give a about anything. It's funny because at the end of the day, Megan the Stallion was pushing this savage energy, and then look what ended up happening to her. She ended up coming publicly and crying to us like a baby, like a damsel in distress, funnily, you know, from savage to damsel in distress, you know. So at the end of the day, where was the savage energy when she needed it, right? But now you're crying boo-hoo in front of us. It doesn't pay to try and be as savage as a woman because it's not our nature, right? So you end up setting up yourself when you paint yourself and project this image of savage, right? That's what you attract. You will attract that energy. You will attract that aggression. So you must know what you're putting out there, because when it comes at you, you better be able to handle it. We saw that she didn't handle it very well. So for the feminine community as well, the dark feminine she's the ultimate feminist, right? So she's probably anti-man. She is a boss bitch. She's Miss Independent. So that's the energy of the dark feminine woman. But a lot of it is misinformation, you know, and a perversion of what dark feminine energy is. There's the other community on YouTube now who are women who are into, I guess, witchcraft or esoteric knowledge, right? Occult knowledge. These women. It's mainly white women as well, which is no surprise about what I'm about to say, because they are more understanding, I believe, of what dark feminine energy really is. But there's just one thing missing. I think they're a bit dishonest about one thing when it comes to dark feminine energy, and it's no surprise because these women are mostly white. You cannot talk about dark feminine energy and not mention the black woman. It is impossible. How can you talk about dark feminine and not talk about the original woman, the first woman, the woman that carries the genetic makeup of every human on this planet, the woman who birthed all nations on this planet? How can you talk about dark feminine energy and not mention her? That's dishonest. To know life and to know creation is to know the black woman. So you can't talk about this type of energy and not mention us. The black woman herself is the archetype. She is the dark feminine archetype, right? She is the complete representation of dark feminine energy. Dark feminine energy is the most suppressed of all archetypes. The dark feminine is the most suppressed. Who is more suppressed on the planet than the black woman? In terms of hierarchy, she is at the bottom. She is below the black man, who is below the white woman, who is below the white man, and every other nation on the planet, right? The most suppressed. But she is the ultimate life giver. And she herself suppresses her own power in denying who she is and showing up in the world as something other than who she is. So let's explore some of the ways that dark feminine energy is expressed. And there are many ways, but I'm going to talk about 3 today, right? And you will find some of this in yourself. You may find it in other women around you, right? But hopefully this gets you to understand a little bit more and appreciative of what dark feminine energy is. So the first divine attribute that I'm going to talk about is sensuality. And this is what you see being expressed through the femininity groups, you know, the hypersexuality, and you know, and there is nothing wrong with sexual energy. Don't get me wrong. Sexual energy is a beautiful thing. It is a powerful energy. In fact, sexual energy is everywhere. It is all around us every day. If you stop and observe nature, you will see that sexual energy is constant. Everything around us is creating, and that is what sexual energy is. It's creative energy, right? So when you're tapping into sexual energy, it is divine creative energy, but we've perverted it and turned it into something for entertainment and for capitalistic gain, unfortunately. But it is one of the most powerful energies on the planet. It is the energy that creates life, that continues life, right? Without sexual energy, there would be no life on earth. And which woman carries more sexual energy than the black woman? They constantly tap into our energy. They've always done experiments on us, taking samples of our DNA, trying to understand us, because we're the most fertile women on the planet. Is it really a big surprise that black women are suddenly having a lot of reproductive issues? And so you will notice sensuality and creative energy come out in my channel, in that I talk a lot about the female reproductive system, right? That is where the sexual and creative energy comes out in my channel. The second divine attribute is transformation, right? Dark feminine energy is transformative. This is the energy you want to tap into when you want to do some shadow work, when you want to reveal things, when you want to know truth, when you want to change things, right? This is the energy of change. It is the energy of destruction. So it will destroy like your ego, right? Because your shadow is where your ego lies. A lot of the things about yourself that you don't want people to see, you don't want to reveal, you don't even want to think of these things about yourself, right? But this is where growth happens. This is where change happens. And if you're honest with yourself and face the truth, you can really transform, transcend, right? And become the better version of yourself. But you have to be comfortable with discomfort, right? And that's what this energy is. I feel like I resonate with this energy of the shadow most in the dark feminine, because this is where I love to talk about dark truths. I love to talk about things that are hidden. I love to reveal things. I feel like I am a bit of a warrior for truth, and sometimes I can be really aggressive with the truth, and people don't really take it, they don't swallow the pills very well. This is the part of me that made me do that video about Moko, and so much aggression came to me because I was defending this man. But when it comes to what is right and what is not right, and especially as it relates to our people, I'm going to tap into this energy, right? And I'm going to defend truth. I'm going to defend right all the time. And so even if I am hurt in the process, even if other people are hurt in the process, I stand for truth always. Sometimes I do things on my channel that people are uncomfortable with. I have conversations that people maybe cringe about, but it's conversations that I know that we need to have, because these are the things that's going to help us to heal and move forward as a people. We can't keep hiding from ourselves, right? So we have to get some of the skeletons out of the closet, right, in order to move forward. So this is one of the energies that you will see expressed on my channel sometimes. Other aspect of the dark feminine energy is the medicine woman, the magician, the oracle. It's the same person. It is one of the most misunderstood of feminine energy because it has to do with magic. People are afraid of that word, magic. What is that? That sounds dark. That sounds like the other side. That sounds very anti-religious, very anti-Christian. Magic is nothing but an understanding of nature and how to manipulate nature. If you study plant medicine and how you use medicine to heal people, the nature of plants, the spirit of plants, when you have a very good understanding of nature and how nature works and how it affects us, this is the energy of medicine woman. She also knows a lot about energy and how to manipulate energy. So this is the part of the dark feminine that is misunderstood. Yes, you are to know how to manipulate, but not manipulate people for your own benefit. You're supposed to know how to manipulate the energy around you for the benefit of people, of others, the benefit of humanity. So a woman must know how to manipulate time, space, and energy for the benefit of herself and everybody else. That is the medicine woman. She can transmute, she can transform, she can create. She's also the oracle. So she's the foreseer. She is a foreteller, right? And this is deeply connected to your intuition. As we know, women are highly intuitive. So this is connecting to that deep knowing that is within us. Most women can relate to that. We just know. We just know. You don't have to tell us. We just know. We don't have to get proof of anything. We just know. So this is another aspect of the dark feminine that you will see on my channel. I talk about herbs a lot. I talk about food a lot and using plant food, right, for healing purposes as well. I also talk about our intuition. I also talk about magical things. And to me, honestly, all aspects of the dark feminine are the same. It's just that we describe them with different words, but we know this language that we speak is a language of separation, so we always have to divide up things to understand them. If this was expressed in an African tongue, there would just be one word to describe the dark feminine, and you would know what it is when you hear it. All of what I expressed about the dark feminine would be understood in this one word. You know, that's how African language is. It is all inclusive. It is a oneness, a connectedness of everything in the language. It's expressed in our culture. It is expressed in everything African. It is collective. But to me, it's all of these are the same. It's expressing the same thing. Sensuality is no different from magic. It's no different from medicine. It's no different from the oracle energy. It's no different from transformative energy. All of it to me is the same. And you know, the magician, medicine, oracle woman is the most suppressed part of the black woman. She refuses to see this part of herself, and she's missing out on power. She's missing out on so much of her power because she chooses to avoid this aspect of herself. This highly intuitive, highly connected, this healer, clairvoyant, oracle, this diviner. She refuses to tap into that side of her because she can't see her power, you know. And it's unfortunate, because if the black woman would remove all of the barriers to her self-love, this would be a whole different game. So let's quickly talk about some goddesses. I'm gonna talk about 3 African goddesses. Again, I'm African, so I'm gonna always make reference to, you know, African goddesses because I am African, right? So I'm gonna talk about 3 today that is related to dark feminine energy. And the first one is Aset. And Aset is an Egyptian goddess. She is the mother of all goddesses. In ancient mythologies, she's said to be the goddess who birthed the first human. So we're talking about big mama energy. This is what Aset is. Mother of God type energy, right? In fact, the story of Aset, Asar, and Heru was copied by Christians, right? In the Father, Son, except the Holy Spirit, you know, because they took out the feminine aspect of the Holy Trinity. I don't know how you can have a Holy Trinity that is not man, woman, and child. I don't know where the ghosts come from, right? But, you know, anyway. Aset gave birth to Heru through Immaculate Conception, because the story about the story about Asar got killed by his brother, and so she resurrected him. Some versions say that she resurrected him. Some versions say that she was impregnated by his spirit. But yeah, this is also why she's known as the goddess of death, you know, goddess of rebirth. But really, again, this is a metaphor for transformation. As we mentioned before, one of the attributes of dark feminine energy is transformation. It is interesting, though, that a lot of the dark goddesses are depicted as black. You know, Aset is depicted as black. Even as it relates to the Black Madonna, you know, they don't talk about this a lot. We don't hear about it unless you go to Europe. You don't know, and when you go to their churches, you see the Black Madonna, you know, is a copy of Aset and Heru. But this is again how they tap into the dark feminine energy, the black woman's energy, without our knowledge. But it's sort of hidden. They don't talk about it publicly, but they tap into the black woman's energy all the time, right? This is not unique to the Black Madonna. There's also the goddess Kalima, which is the Hindu goddess, from India. And she is a fierce goddess. She is also very fair. She is also depicted as black, sometimes as blue. And who are the blue-black people on this planet? So Kalima is seen as vicious, ferocious, aggressive. She's always depicted as angry. But this again is another goddess of transformation, another goddess of change. So if you're tapping into the energy of Kalima, this is where truth is revealed. She's another warrior of truth, warrior of what is right, of just. And so, yeah, she will chop off heads in the name of what is right. So that's why you'll see her sometimes depicted as holding skulls, or always have skulls around her. That is the reason why. She is a destructive energy, but destroyer of things that are unjust. So the other goddess that I'm going to talk about is Oya. And Oya is the Yoruba goddess of lightning. And she is the goddess who they modeled Storm from X-Men. They modeled after Oya, right? So she's the goddess of lightning. And she is probably one of the most feared goddesses in the Yoruba culture. I should say Orisha. They're Orishas. They don't call them goddesses. They're Orishas. So she's one of the most feared Orishas. People find her energy to be frightening, which is the same thing, the same kind of feeling that people have of lightning. People fear lightning a lot. People are terrified of lightning. She's also known as the goddess of hurricanes. So this is the energy that is destructive again. It's the energy that is an energy of change. So she destroys, she will remove and clean. When we get hurricanes in Jamaica, people always say that it's God doing a cleansing and Jamaica needs something to wake up, and the people are gonna, generally we feel like we change after a hurricane, like we're good for a little bit after a hurricane, so, but this is the energy of water again. When water comes, it is cleansing, and a lot of water tends to come with hurricanes. But lightning is also frightening because it's associated with fire, and fire is also an energy of purification again, but it is a destructive energy. It can destroy something completely, but in that destruction comes change, comes transformation, comes an opportunity for something new, a rebirth, right? And that is what the energy of Oya is again. If you're tapping into the energy of Oya, you're tapping into change. You're tapping into your shadow. You're tapping into finding those parts of you that you need to work on, that you need to grow from. She's also seen as the guardian of the underworld. So she's the guardian of death. She is the goddess of righteous anger, which is sometimes I feel what I experience when I talk about certain things, especially on my TikTok. I think I do it more on my TikTok than on YouTube. Y'all might not be so used to that side of it, but if you follow me on TikTok, you know that I'm hella aggressive on there sometimes. Sometimes my king man have to say, what's wrong with you? Why are you trying to make enemies on TikTok? Sometimes him really tell me I go too hard. It's like, you're going too hard. Like, calm down. Seriously, calm down. But I am passionate about certain things, and I'm passionate about our people. I am passionate about what is right and what is true, and especially our people, especially our people, because we've been through a lot already. And yeah, so that warrior spirit in me comes out a whole lot sometimes, even in general in life. You know, sometimes you may not even see who I am off camera. Sometimes I'm very aggressive as well, and so that warrior spirit in me may have to keep it tame sometime, because yeah, sometimes I can get really out of control with it. And you know, that is that segment energy, that if she's not tamed and controlled, she will destroy everything, including herself. So it's something that I know I need to always keep in mind. So that is my take on what dark feminine energy truly means to me, right? And I hope it resonates with you. I hope you can relate to what I've said today, and I hope you find it helpful as well in your understanding of what dark feminine energy is, and how, you know, you may find it in your life already, and how you can tap into it also, you know, to make your life better, to make other people's lives around you better. I don't know if it will change the conversation around dark feminine energy, but it will definitely add something else to the conversation. So hopefully it starts a different conversation on dark feminine energy within the community of Black women. And hopefully it instills a little bit more pride in you as a dark feminine woman. So now you know, this is why this channel is called Dark Feminine Consciousness. If you like the content, please don't forget to give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. I know a lot of you are seeing my videos and you don't subscribe. Please go and subscribe. Just know it is free. I'm not charge you for it. Just press subscribe since you're here, right? Like it, share it with friends as well, right? And take care of yourself, and we'll link up in the next video. All right, later guys.